Okay, so we are demonstrating the superficial back line. So as you can see here, it begins at the calcaneus and underneath and extends upward along the hamstrings, along the back, and ends at the occipital ridge. So the postural function of the superficial back line is to support the body in full extension, prevent flexion. It recruits slow twitch muscle fibers. And the movement function is to create extension and hyperflexion, except at the knees and ankles. So here we'll demonstrate back extension. And also for hyperflexion, we'll be demonstrating this at the cervical spine. So we'll just bring chin all the way down to chest. And that is the superficial back line. So this is the superficial front line. The postural function of the superficial front line is to balance the superficial back line. So this uses tension, so that tensegrity, to support by lifting parts of the skeleton. So this is lifting anything that's quite anterior, so that pubic bone, rib cage, and face. Superficial fascia or superficial frontline fascia protects the viscera of the ventral cavity. So this also maintains postural extension of the knee, and we're just going to demonstrate that. So we're just going to flex the knee, and then we're just going to extend it forward, just like that. Okay, so this covers the entire anterior surface of the body. It also is responsible for movement function for flexion of the trunk and hips. So we're just going to demonstrate that. Okay. So this also has a higher proportion of fast twitch fibers and is also responsible for dorsiflexion of the foot. So there we're just going to demonstrate dorsiflexion. Okay. This is the lateral line of the body. So the postural function of this myofascial line balances left and right side activity of the body. This mediates the forces that are occurring all along all the other lines. So it's kind of the in-between middleman. This also stabilizes limbs while the upper body acts. So this one is responsible for lateral bend. So lateral flexion, just like that. So it shows deceleration while standing, and if he was perpendicular to gravity, it would perform acceleration. Also performing hip abduction. Yeah. Okay, and also a foot eversion. We're demonstrating here the spiral line of the myofascial lines. So the postural function of this line, so spiral line wraps around the body like a double helix, and it is able to maintain balance across all the planes. So just like DNA, which is also a double helix, it holds everything together. So this line also, part of postural function, it determines, so knee tracking. So just the tension along that line, everything is connected to the knee and kind of determines where exactly the knee tracks on the body. And compensates for imbalance by twisting, rotating, and shifting laterally, as well as it acts in accordance with other lines at the same time. So the movement function, so this one is for creating and mediating spirals and rotations in the body. So we can show that the trunk is able to rotate with the hips. Okay. And then it's also able to rotate like hand to hip in a reaching motion. Okay, and also modulate strain in the arch system at the foot. And discussing the back functional line and the front functional line. So the things that are unique about these myofascial lines are that they really come into play, it seems, in small movements. So anything like walking. So with gait, it's counterbalancing that shoulder and hip movement during gait, as well as it comes into play in really dynamic motions where, one upper limb is fixed and the other is in motion. So this is where we're given that example of that baseball player or that tennis player. The other thing as well that's unique about them is that they seem to come in kind of after all the other myofascial lines, have been balanced, as well as they seem to be able to fix the base of support when it comes to poses using the upper limb. So in yoga, it really comes into effect there.